Good evening. If you would, go ahead and find a seat for me. Welcome to the 2022 Political Forum for the evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Bewley, and I have the pleasure of being the Executive Director at the Chamber of Commerce here in Clarksville, Arkansas. Just as a reminder tonight, if you would, please remember to check your cell phones and put those on silent and go ahead and turn those off or whatever you want to do with your cell phones. But I want to start by thanking the University of the Ozarks for hosting this event tonight and allow us to use this space for this political forum. This event will be streamed tonight on YouTube, and so you should be able to go to the KUZ Facebook page and get the link straight to that YouTube channel. So if you have anybody you know that didn't get to come tonight that may want to rewatch this later, then that will be available on YouTube for you later. I also want to thank Richard Nichols for coming out tonight and being our moderator from EAB Radio. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and being a part of this, and we really do appreciate it. So just kind of a couple of things to go over for the rules for this evening. The candidates who are running for City Council will have 5 minutes apiece to present. The mayoral candidates will also have 5 minutes to present, and then 2 minutes to answer the questions that have been provided to them. I would ask that you please be courteous with everyone's time. No unruly behavior, such as booing, hissing, or harassing during the evening. Yes, I see lots of smirks, but I had to add that so that way if I have to ask you to leave, then at least I told you so, right? Another thing is there's not going to be any questions allowed from the audience tonight. However, if you would like to stick around after the forum, I'm sure plenty of the candidates will be willing to stick around and just answer any questions that you may have one-on-one. So feel free to stick around and ask any questions if you should have any following tonight's event. Tonight's order was drawn by random, and so we did that just a few minutes ago. What else? I think that's pretty much it. So we hope that you enjoy the evening, and I'm going to turn everything over to Richard.
Thank you.
Matt, can
Yes.
you give us just 1 minute? We're having some audio issues.
All right, we're having audio issues, so let's see. I would tell a joke, but because of the political nature of the evening, it might offend somebody. So
You're not running for election.
you're right, I'm not, but I don't know any jokes either, so that doesn't help us at all.
It'll take just a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. I'll stay up here in case they need someone to check.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hi.
That's what we're fixing.
Checking. Hello? No, she can't hear now. Did I get it? So we're good to go? All right, now I'm going to turn everything over to Richard.
Hi. Is this on?
That one.
Oh, just kidding. One. Okay. Good evening. Very thankful to have the opportunity to come to the event this evening. When Matt originally asked me to moderate, my automatic answer when it comes to politics is no, because I'm in the media. We have 10 stations here in the River Valley area. We have about 52 across the state. And I have a firm belief that one of the biggest challenges in America today is that there is too much opinion and too little news. Our job as the media is to present the facts and then allow the listener, or in this case the voter, to make their decision. But once Matt outlined the design of the evening, it's something that I am proud to participate in. The candidates have had the questions for a week. They've had an opportunity to look over them, and everyone's answering the same questions. So I feel like it's something that can be informative to the listeners and to the viewers across the River Valley, and give them information that they need to vote, which is our responsibility and, thank God, our right. So to start off, we will have the city council members come forward and speak for 5 minutes. In the random drawing, the first city council member to speak is Miss Tina Sharps.
Good evening. As I've met with citizens, I keep getting asked the same questions over and over. First, what makes me different than my opponent? To be blunt, I am not my opponent, nor am I Freeman Wish, who I want to thank personally for his service to Clarksville and all the roles that he has led, including this alderman's position. I am my own individual with my own set of skills and experiences that make me the best candidate for this position. The other questions, why am I running? And why should I vote for you? They all go hand in hand. I decided to run because I care too much about the city's future not to. Clarksville is a hugely diverse city, and while we need to preserve the historical identity of Clarksville, we need to do so with all of the residents in mind. There are decisions being made that have the potential to permanently change our city in ways that many residents are unaware of due to the lack of collaboration, transparency, and communication. If elected, I will work with and speak for the people without fear of retribution or retaliation, and without confusing the facts with the issues. Here are 3 words to remember about me: head, hands, and heart. Number 1, head. Although I'm really nervous, I am organized, a critical thinker, and a logical thinker. And when I need to communicate, that communication is usually clear and effective. Those skills would allow me to make sound decisions for the city's future in an ever-changing economic and opportunity landscape, which requires an adopted, up-to-date, comprehensive plan. The most recent approved plan on the city's website is dated 2008. That's 5 administrations ago. Currently, there are 2 drafts available online, one from Mark Simpson, the former mayor, and the other was recently added on September the 1st, 2022. This is a disservice to the citizens of Clarksville. An up-to-date and proposed plan must be effectively communicated to the public to ensure understanding of why growth is needed in a measured and intentional way. Communicating to the public all facets and processes of what is going on in our community should be transparent, and those processes should allow and include input along the way. Accountability is only achievable with transparency and communication, and this step can only be achieved by publishing the agendas in advance with pertinent supporting documents on the city's website. Currently, the agendas are only published in the newspaper. All available resources should be used to reach the public, not just one. Meetings should also be live streamed, with videos published online and archived on the city's website or another public access portal. This would allow citizens to stay informed and see how their local government operates. Number 2, hands. I have learned and applied those various skill sets over the past 3 decades by either working or volunteering, and I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves to do whatever it takes to get the job done. My education, my professional experience, and passion in project management, budgets, logistics, and public service started as a teenager when my family owned a restaurant that was in an old historical building in our community. I understand and appreciate the critical nature of small businesses and historical preservation to maintain the identity and character of a community. Those skills and experiences will also allow me to collaborate with others in creating and managing legislation, including budgetary direction that will help and not restrict our community. If you have time, you can review my professional resume on LinkedIn or votesharps.com. But what you won't see on my resume would be my toughest and most rewarding job ever. And that is raising children, and I'm so proud of all 11 of them. As a working parent, I have juggled and multitasked to meet all demands on my time from work, home, my college education, and the kids' needs. Those same demands and experiences are what are required to help build and grow our city and have given me strong communication, analytic and creative skills, patience, and tact. And those skills are critical to updating and creating clear and concise policies and procedures for our community. Number 3, heart. I stated earlier that I am running because I care and love Clarksville too much to sit on the sidelines any longer. And I have lived and worked within our community and city for almost 5 years, and I'm proud to call Clarksville my home. I know change is constant, and my aim is to keep that change positive while maintaining the historical identity and character of Clarksville. I want to preserve Clarksville's heritage while being inclusive as we progress our city to the next level. If elected, I will work hard to make ethical, logical, educated, and sensible decisions while being transparent. Again, my name is Tina Sharps, and I respectfully ask for your vote for the City Council Alderman of Ward 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tina Sharps. The next candidate for City Council Ward 3, Position 2 is Rob Reisinger.
Good afternoon. I want to start by thanking the university and the chamber and Richard for being here, putting this on. It's great that we can get the candidates out here that you can see and meet us, get a little information if you don't already know us, and it'll help you make the correct decision as far as a decision for the city. Again, thank all of you. With that being said, I'm Rob Reisinger, and I'm running for City Council. I'm running for a position of Alderman, Ward 3, and it's currently held by Mr. Freeman Wish, who has decided not to run again. It's an open seat. I'd like to introduce my wife. She's sitting right over there in the front row. Her and I, we have 2 children. Our daughter Brianna is a teacher at Lamar High School. Both of my kids actually went to Clarksville High School. Both of them actually graduated from ATU. My son is a captain in the Army, and he just recently, as of last week, graduated the captain's career course in Fort Leonard Wood. So we're super proud of him and super proud of both of them. They make us happy every day. I'd like to touch a little bit on my background as far as Clarksville. I grew up here my whole life. My parents moved here in 1961. I was born in 1963, so you're doing the math. I've been here my whole life. My parents are James and Florence Reisinger. My father ran the Strand Theater, which was at the location of the new CCU building, and he also ran the Arc Air Drive-In, which was out across from the old the Clarksville Church of Christ. And then after he retired from that, my father went on to be a mail carrier. Now my mother, she carried several jobs here in Clarksville, most of which, bulk of her career, she spent at Dollar General downtown, where she managed it until she retired. And then actually she went back to work when my dad retired, if you know what I mean by that. I went to the Clarksville schools, played summer sports, boys club, as a lot of everybody else did. I also played basketball in high school and was in the band in high school. When I graduated, I went to what used to be the C of O, College of the Ozarks, which is now known as University of the Ozarks. I went one semester, and then I decided I'd join the Army. Well, with an injury that I had in the Army, I was medically discharged, came back to Clarksville, and decided that I would take as a part-time job, I was thinking, and then I'd start college back when school started back up. And I went to work for Ken Miller at Good Guys Auto Parts. Well, nearly 40 years later, I'm still in the parts business. I never got back to college. I purchased the business from him, and then ended up selling it and going to work for Crow Burlingame. Now, as a small business owner, anybody that has been one knows that you wear many hats. Everything from human resource to payroll to inventory clerk. You've got a job, and so I bring a lot of that experience, that 25 plus years of experience, back to the council if I'm elected. It's been said by some that if I'm elected, that I will be a rubber stamp for Mayor Reeder or a yes man. I want to affirm to you right now that that's not the case. I'm not Team Reeder. I'm not Team Donaldson. I'm not Team Charlton. I'm Team Clarksville. Let me be clear on that. So if somebody comes down to saying, you're just Team Reeder or you'll be a yes man or whatever, just tell them that Rob said that that's not true. I'm currently a member of the Planning and Zoning, but I would resign that position when elected. I want you to know that I'm not affiliated with any Clarksville utility or Clarksville entity or Clarksville government that may somehow influence decisions that I may make as a council member. I have no ties to anyone in that form. I know you probably heard, I know my time's running out, but you probably heard the phrase in a movie, what I do have are a very particular set of skills that I've acquired over a very long career. That's what I bring. I have a lot of skills that I could bring to the council. I leave you with two things. I am a lifelong Clarksville resident, and I do not have any ties to anyone related to the city. So with that being said, I humbly ask for your vote in November, or if you early vote, ask for your early vote. And again, I want to thank the college and the university and everybody and all you people for showing up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to City Council Ward 2, Position 2. The first speaker will be Alderperson Judy Weaver.
Okay, is this the one I'm using?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I need to
Yes, ma'am.
down. Hopefully that will work. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the Chamber for organizing this event, and thank you to the university for hosting it. I have lived in Clarksville since 1974. I spent 35 years working for Rick in his law office. And in January 2017, I was put on council to replace Bob Norris, who had passed away. And since then, all of those 6 years, I've been serving on the Animal Control Committee, chairman of the Advertising and Promotion Commission, attending all council meetings and most committee meetings. I've attended planning and zoning meetings just to be on top of the subjects if they come to the council for a vote. I've attended Clarksville Connected Utilities Commission meetings for the same reason. Very difficult to understand what they're doing, and I started attending their commission meetings in an effort to learn how that functions and how it affects the city. A couple of issues that I would like to bring to everyone's attention. One is the electric rates. There's been a lot of talk lately about the electric rates. So I would like to offer a timeline of how all that came about so everyone understands. After Mayor Reeder was elected, he started a campaign to reduce electric rates for industrial, because he wanted to be able to easier entice businesses to come to Clarksville. And we weren't the highest, but nor were we the lowest. So we were middle of the road, and he wanted to try to get us lower. So CCU put together 3 proposals for the council, and we selected one. An ordinance was drawn up. We approved the ordinance. waited a month for the second reading of the ordinance as is required, and at the second meeting, we asked, does anyone have any comments? Has any councilman had any comments or questions? There were none. There were none from the audience that night. So we approved the ordinance, and it went into effect October the 1st. It was important to let these rates be in effect for a year, because you can't judge utility rates based on a couple of months, because utility rates are affected by where you get your power, how that power is produced, whether it's with water or air, solar. So you need a whole year to get a good perspective. So that's what we've done. We're a year out now. So if anyone wants to readdress this, they can bring it up. But I think it's important to know that Mayor Reeder asked for these changes in order to entice industry to come to Clarksville. Another issue I would like to bring up is improving teamwork in the city. I think it's important for us to try to improve relations between the mayor, department heads, and elected officials. And by elected officials, I'm talking about all the councilmen and the city clerk treasurer. There's been a lot of problems with that in the last few years, and I think we need to try to restore those relationships. I think one way to work towards that would be to have the mayor's office in City Hall, all city meetings to be held in City Hall, and any financial matters to be dealt with directly with our clerk treasurer, particularly budgets. We need a more cohesive and united staff. Another issue I would like to talk about is adequate training. A lot of the employees we have are able to have on-the-job training. They may get extra training with certificates or that sort of thing, but there's one group that doesn't get it, and that's our Planning and Zoning Commission. They are not employees, they're all volunteers, but it's very, very technical work. Our code book is like so thick. They have to learn that code book, and they have to learn laws that govern zoning, and they've not had any training. For 2 years, we've had no training for them. Prior to that, we had an engineering firm that advised them. We don't do that anymore. I think it's time we got them some training. I have found a place where they can get the training. We approved the funding. It has not happened. So, starting with the first of the year, I'm hoping that we can get the training. Okay, I got to wind it up. I have other issues to discuss, but I think those are probably the most important. One final one that I would like to address are the banners over Main Street. We have a lot of local events that we used to advertise with the banners. We disallowed that because of some difficulties with the Black Lives Matter banner. I'm done. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much. For City Council Ward 2, Position 2, our second candidate is Jonathan Howard.
We're going to adjust this here. I was told to eat the mic here before starting. There we go. All right. Good evening. My name is Jonathan Howard, and I'm running for City Council. I'm a lifelong resident of Clarksville. I graduated from Applied Life Christian College in 2011. While I was there, I met my best friend and beautiful wife, Katie Howard. And we've been married for over 11 years now. I've worked in church ministry since I was 9 years old, and I became a licensed minister in 2013. After we got married, we put ourselves through college, and I graduated summa cum laude from Arkansas Tech University in 2016. After college, I became a state and nationally board certified hearing aid specialist, and I own and operate Meadville Hearing Aids here in Clarksville, where I've served the hearing impaired for the last 7 years. I started getting involved in politics over the last 7 years, and I am currently a Johnson County Justice of the Peace on the Quorum Court. My experience on the Quorum Court will easily translate to my responsibilities as a Clarksville council member. For those who don't know, the Quorum Court is basically the same as City Council, just on a county scale. My experience on the oh, that's the wrong part, I'm sorry. There we go. If elected, I will bring the same dedication and commitment to the office of alderman, along with the knowledge and experience I've gained on the Quorum Court and throughout my life. I hope to bring a young, fresh perspective to City Council. I'm certainly not a yes man, and I have no problem standing up for what I think is right. But I also work well with others, and I believe that we'll often find the best solutions to Clarksville's problems by finding common ground and working together. I'm passionate about economic development. I want to see our economy grow, our crime rates drop, and better jobs come to Clarksville, not only for our current workforce, but also for the next generation to come. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." I have a vision for Clarksville. It is a vision many of us share. We want to see Clarksville's economy grow and her people prosper. We need to support the development of new, affordable housing options. We need to support downtown revitalization. The historical district is the heart of our community. As it thrives, so does our city. And we need to reduce barriers to entry for new and expanding businesses. Clarksville is a gem in the River Valley. We sit on the Interstate 40 and the Arkansas River. We're at the foot of the Ozark Mountains and the National Forest. We have a thriving university with a beautiful campus, our own utility company, and best of all, we have some of the friendliest and most hardworking people that you'll ever meet. This is a great place to raise a family, but we must never stop striving for improvement. Many of you know me and my family. We've been here as long as Clarksville itself. If you've come through my office, you've seen firsthand the level of service and excellence we strive for. Let's work together to make Clarksville better. I've served in church ministry, in healthcare, and in politics. And if elected, I will continue to serve the good people of Clarksville as alderman on the City Council. That's why I'm asking you to vote for me, Jonathan Howard, on November 8th. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Our third candidate will be Patrick Baker.
They say 5 minutes, but I really don't need 5 minutes. But I thank you for the 5 minutes, because I'm short and sweet, straight to the point. First of all, I just want to say who I am. My name is Patrick Slick Baker, and I'm married to Arlene Diane Perry with 2 sons, Avery and Quentin, which has deceased, and we're raising 2 grandchildren, Karma and Camilla. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I come from Louisiana to Clarksville, to this college, on a track scholarship, and decided to stay. And I'm thankful that I stayed. But when I stayed here, I got a job with the Clarksville Light and Water Company. And I worked there for 35 years and retired. I've been on the Clarksville Fire Department for 24 and a half years, and I'm still there. And I feel like all those things that I just told you, I'm serving. I'm serving Clarksville. I was serving Clarksville when I was here in college. I was serving Clarksville. When I was running track, I was working with kids, teaching them how to run and how to become good citizens, good people. Lions Club, I was part of the Lions Club. Volunteer works that I done, nursing home. I attend the nursing home to see to people. The shelter kids, Ozark. Some people say, why are you going to Ozark? That's not Clarksville, that's people. So I love people. It doesn't matter where you are or who you are, but I have a passion for people. Jailhouse ministry. It's one of my strongest things that I love it all, but that thing just does something to me when I can be in the jailhouse and help some young man or young lady to get their life back like it needs to be. And that's one of the problems that I think that we have here in Clarksville is the drug problem. NA meeting, I attend them. And I learn about these things that I go to. Some people say, well, why are you going there? You don't have a addiction. Yes, I do. Everybody in this building tonight has an addiction. It may not be with the drugs or the alcohol. Anything that you're addicted to, your car, your clothes, your food, your home, you're addicted to other people. And they go through some of the same things that we go through in life. Volunteer again, courthouse. It's that time of year, Christmas coming up. So I got this little group of guys that has this drug addiction, so I bring them all in and I let them feel part of something because they feel like they're left out. But they're Clarksville. So if we're gonna get Clarksville together, let us get everybody. Don't leave nobody out. Another one, Clarksville High School football team. Been running the chain for Clarksville High School for 39 years. And guess how I started? Jack Cecil. I went to a ball game one night. He said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm coming to the ball game. He said, come here, let me show you something. Walked over there and said, what is that right there? Knowing I knew what that was. He said, I said, that's a vest. He said, put it on. I put it on. He said, that's yours. You got the best seat in the house. So I've been doing that 39 years, and I love it. And then it allowed me to interact with those kids that are on the sideline. See, my life, I just want to do God's will. That's all I want to. That's all what matters to me, God's will. But for some people, that may not even matter. But to me, it does. Last but not least, I was talking to one of my candidates back there, and we was talking about what drives us. My family drives me. My friends drive me. But the most person that drives me is Jesus. And I mentioned this to this person. I said, you remember one time when you were going through what you was going through with your husband? And it wasn't a bad thing, so don't get this all messed up. But I was working for Light and Water, and I come through there one day reading meters, and we sat down and had a good time. The hands went up. But I say to you, as I say to myself, keep moving.
Now we'll move on to the mayoral candidates. Each candidate will come out and do a 5-minute introduction speech, and then we will move on to the questions. By random drawing, the first candidate to speak is Greg Donaldson.
I have a big mouth, so will that work very well? That won't be a problem for me, thank you very much. For starters, don't applaud me when I come in here and don't applaud me when I leave, because I haven't done anything to deserve that yet. Applaud me after we go to work for the city of Clarksville. That's when we need the applause, but the city employees will need more of that applause than me. My name is Greg Donaldson, and I'm running for the office of Mayor of Clarksville, and I'm proud to say that to you, very proud. I'm a lifelong Clarksville resident. I've been here my whole life. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Jessica Donaldson. We have 6 children and 2 beautiful grandchildren, one of who's coming in the back door right now, who is the absolute love of my life. I served 30 years in law enforcement. I was the Arkansas Chief of Police of the Year 3 times. I'm a past president of the Arkansas Association of Chiefs of Police. I'm a Leadership Johnson County graduate. I volunteer in our schools, and I drive a school bus. I've coached in our youth leagues. I've refereed in our youth leagues. I'm a past board member of the Clarksville Quarterback Club. I'm the current vice president of the Clarksville Panther Turf Club. I'm also president-elect of the Clarksville Rotary Club. And as Mr. Howard said, I currently also serve here as elected Justice of the Peace for Johnson County in my 2nd term. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of my service to Clarksville, and I'm proud of my family for what they do for Clarksville every single day. I love each of you very much. But we're going to talk about truths. We're not going to talk about lies. We're going to talk about truth tonight. The first one that we're going to talk about is being an involved part of your community. Every single day matters. It doesn't just matter at politic time. It matters every single day that you're doing that. The second thing we're going to talk about, and some of the other candidates discussed this, was electrical rates. They went up. The reason for that was Mayor Reeder wanted to lower industrial rates. They're correct. But we went too far. Our bills have went way up too much. The first thing we're going to do, one of the first things, we're going to meet with Clarksville City Council. We're going to meet with Clarksville Connected Utilities. And we're going to meet with members of the public. And we're going to try to lower those back down to an acceptable level. And we're going to meet with members of the public. And we're going to try to lower those back down to an acceptable level. Nobody in this community should have to choose between food, medicine, and heating their house. Nobody, ever. We're going to deal with that problem. Let's talk about the Marvin Vincent Center just a minute. We need structured programs at the Marvin Vincent Center. What we have right now is we have children being dropped off after school, and nobody is watching out for them. It's not the employee's responsibility. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need structured programs to deal with the situation at the Marvin and make that what it needs to be. We're going to look at combining our boys and girls clubs. This has to be a cooperative effort. We can't do that by ourselves, but I've already been contacted by folks in both of those organizations that are ready to make that happen. You've heard from several other candidates. Team building. We have to all pull the same direction. That's not happening right now. It's as far away from that right now as you can absolutely get, unfortunately. But that's the truth. There is nothing I'm going to tell you tonight that can't be backed up on paper and facts. City meetings, that was touched on just a minute ago. City meetings, I think we would all agree, those should be held in city offices. They shouldn't be held in a private insurance office. That's not what the city needs, and that's not the best thing for the city. There's a reason for that, and that's because right now, let's talk about Clarksville Connected Utilities a minute. The mayor, Mayor Reeder, and Clarksville Light and Water General Manager John Lester can't even be in the same room alone with each other right now. They have to have a moderator. That's unacceptable for our city. The city clerk treasurer, as you heard alluded to just a minute ago, that's unacceptable as well. Attorneys from the Municipal League in Little Rock had to come to Clarksville to mediate between the mayor and the city clerk treasurer. She's been in office a long time. She takes care of every single penny, and I'll promise you there's not a penny missing. So you need to ask yourself why that's happening. It's not because of her. It's absolutely not. We have to do better as a city than that because we are better than that, and we should know that. Let's talk about the Black Lives Matter banner over Main Street. I would have never signed that petition. Has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. I wouldn't have signed a Blue Lives Matter or a Brown Lives Matter banner. Anything that's going to be divisive in our community, I'm not going to sign that. We need a full-time mayor. We don't have that right now. We have a mayor that's trying to run an insurance business. I will give you a full-time mayor. I love Clarksville, and I always will. We need to understand that there was over $11,000 that the mayor asked to be taken out of city funds to put in his pocket. That's the documentation right there. I'll be happy to show it to any one of you anytime. It's wrong. You should never take money and put it in your own pocket out of taxpayers' funding. It's absolutely wrong, and it frustrates me to no end. I told him that it frustrated me. I told him it was wrong when it happened, and it still continued to happen. Here's what we're going to do. We have to work hand in hand with our city council and our local partners. Right now, we have a mayor that's vetoing council action, threatening to sue the city council, and having so many special meetings that I can't even keep up with those. It's wrong. We can do better as Clarksville. We are Clarksville. We have always been strong as Clarksville. I am proud to say that I'm a lifelong resident of Clarksville and Johnson County, and I will be here for the rest of my life to serve you. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the moderators and everybody that's putting this on for us this evening, and I'm going to ask you very humbly to support me in my run for mayor of the city of Clarksville, a Clarksville that I love dearly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Donaldson. Now we're going to move on to the questions.
Thank you.
For the mayoral candidates.
Thank you.
And everyone's answering the same questions. Question 1 is, if elected, what would be your first 3 actions as mayor of Clarksville?
Thank you. And you've also heard some of these things as well. The transparency of city government. Right now, we have zero transparency in city government. Just recently, the city council didn't even know that the mayor had placed for sale signs on city-owned property until after the fact. That's wrong. Those are elected individuals just like he is or she is, whichever the case may be, and they need to know that. We'll also broadcast all city meetings where the public can view those on any platform that we can handle there. We're going to do an audit of all city-owned properties. We're going to ensure that we are not allowing property of the city of Clarksville to deteriorate beyond repair. We've done it, and it's time to stop. If we're going to save our buildings and save our history, then we have to take action. We're going to begin buying all of our goods or services that are available from the city of Clarksville and Johnson County. Currently, we are supporting Polk County's tax base just as much as we're on, and that's wrong. We have got to do a better job of that, of buying things locally when we can. I understand the concept of not everything can be purchased in Clarksville, unfortunately. But if it can be purchased in Clarksville for the same price, the same quality, that needs to happen. That's it. I'm finished with that one.
Okay.
Ready when you are.
Thank you. Question number 2. What are the top 3 assets that Clarksville possesses that would make it attractive to businesses and individuals looking to move to Clarksville? And how do you plan to use those assets?
For starters, I don't like the word use those assets, and I think that's the problem. We have to work together with those assets. We can't use those assets. It has to be us in this together. Number 1, the greatest assets are going to be already things that are in this room right now, and those are our friends and our neighbors. That is the greatest asset that Clarksville has is its people. It will always be our people. It has always been our people. Second, city employees, they have got to be a big part of any conversation regarding great things in Clarksville. They are the lifeblood of our city government, and they're key to our future success. We cannot be successful without the cooperation and buy-in of our city employees. Third, our school system, university, hospital, and utility company are huge assets to the city. And I know most of you in this room understand that. But we have to start repairing those personal and business relationships immediately to truly be who we are capable of being. It is unacceptable right now that our light and water general managers, I told you, and our mayor cannot be in the same room with each other. Totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable that city offices have been moved 3 and 4 times in City Hall simply because we can't get along with people. Those are facts, folks. I'm not making that up. I'm not standing here making it up. You know me better than that. I'm not going to do that. Our Next Train to Clarksville slogan means all of us working together and pulling the same direction for Clarksville. That's what we need, and that's what we must have. Thank you.
Okay. And question number 3. What is the one thing that you would implement that would improve the quality of life for the citizens of Clarksville?
Thank you. Right now, the biggest quality of life issue in our nation, and we all understand it because we feel it every day. It's financial, it's housing, and it's also food stabilization. It's the same here locally. We have amazing community partners that work hard every day, and a great ministerial alliance in Clarksville that always goes above and beyond. We see that every day in our community, and that's wonderful. But sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and that's a problem. Many of these are private entities, and that's a wonderful thing. I'm never going to talk about governmental agencies and expanding that because I don't believe in that. But we need to make sure that every person that needs city services has access to them. A clearinghouse, if you will, where everyone knows where to turn for their specific issue. No one in our community, and I told you this a minute ago, should ever be without a place to lay their head, warm food in their belly, and any needs that we can reasonably meet. That's not who we are, and it's never been who Clarksville is. By working together for the city and the citizens we all love, I believe we can be and do better. We are and will always be Clarksville strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. What actions would you take as mayor to ensure the growth of economic development for Clarksville and strengthen the workforce in our area?
Sure. First of all, the mayor has to have and be a presence at the state level as well as at the national level. I'll be very involved with the Arkansas Municipal League. A mayor also has to have those relationships at the national level. I have those relationships. I've worked hand in hand with our congressmen and our senators to improve our city. Right now, we do not have any of that from the mayor's chair. To ensure planned, managed growth, you have to be forward-looking. Every week, as your mayor, I will personally pick up the phone, send an email, or in some way contact a business or an industry that would be a good fit for Clarksville. The one time that this pays off will be more than willing to offset the effort that took. We have to capitalize on the work from home boom. Look at our strengths, our rivers, our mountains, our lakes, our outstanding police and fire departments. I'll put them up against anybody, anywhere, because they are absolutely the best. All great attractions to folks wanting to move here, right? Manufacturing jobs are important to any community. They always will be. But we have to be able to look past that. We have to look broader. I believe some of that is, let's look at our work from home forces. Let's bring those people here to us. We have an outstanding fiber network. We have an outstanding city network we have everything that you need to come to Clarksville and succeed. We just have to sell Clarksville. And part of that is they have to understand that we're all in the same boat together. Right now, we're not in the same boat. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 5, as mayor, what steps will you take to assist small business owners with growing and expanding their businesses?
Thank you. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a small business forum made up of our small business owners, our local government leaders, and anyone that's interested in opening or expanding a business in Clarksville. This has to be done in partnership with our Chamber of Commerce. Business owners right now feel disconnected from the city government. We have to be willing to ask them the question of, how can we as a city better support you? Not what you can do for us, but what we can do for you. And I don't think those questions are being asked. We have to work hand in hand where they know of tax credits, grants that are available to them, opportunities to showcase their business. And this is an important one, folks. I will never, ever support new taxes or regulations that tie the hands of our local small businesses. Once again, folks, this is easy. It's people. It's not politics. And that's the truth. It'll always be about people. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 6, housing has become a common issue across many small communities in Arkansas. What are your plans to expand housing, in particular affordable housing, for the citizens of Clarksville?
Thank you. First, we have to have contractors that want to build in Clarksville and feel welcome to Clarksville. And that's a problem right now. We have to have a one-stop shop where you can come to Clarksville and get everything you need, permits and everything that goes with building, in one place, instead of 3 and 4 places, which is what you're doing right now. We will correct that immediately. We're going to solve that problem. We're also going to make certain that our building codes and fees are closely aligned with our neighbors in other cities, where we aren't being coded out or priced out. And I've seen that happen personally. A local government should never, ever be in the private real estate business, but we can be of great assistance to our builders and our realtors. Here's the facts, folks. The city of Clarksville has no room to grow to the east or to the south. It means we have to look north, Highway 21, Highway 103, and we have to look west. We have to look out Highway 64, and we have to look out Highway 352 for expansion. To do that, though, you also have to be very mindful of things. We cannot overextend our city's services. Planned, managed growth to make sure that we have the proper police, fire, and EMS services is essential to any expansion that we're going to do. Also, more housing means more utility customers. We have to work with our utility hand in hand with them to not overload the infrastructure that we have in place and be able to take care of what we're expanding. There's a lot more that goes into this than just building houses. Here's a big one. I've reviewed the city's budget. I've spoken with the Clarksville Connected Utilities General Manager. I will propose to the City Council to suspend the building permit fees for a period of 2 years to stimulate growth. On a typical 2,000 square foot home, and I'm not going to bore you with numbers here, but a typical 2,000 square foot home in Clarksville would cost you about $743 in fees. We're going to try to suspend that for the first 2 years. For a developer wanting to build a subdivision in Clarksville, I will propose to the council for that developer to take these same fees from the city's economic development funds. This would also be for a beginning period of 2 years, and then we would reevaluate where we are after that time. That will stimulate growth. We have to be willing to think outside of the box and honestly make it more cost effective to build here rather than our other cities. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final question 7.
Thank you.
At the end of your term, if elected, what legacy would you want to leave for the future leadership in Clarksville?
I talked about transparency, I talked about honesty, and I talked about facts. So you're going to get some transparency from me right now. I don't like this question. I don't think it should be on there. Because the truth is, this should never, ever be about one person's legacy. This should be about us. It's always been about us. I believe our legacy goals are to provide a safe, secure home for our families, financially stable opportunities for our children and grandchildren to be able to look back and me to be able to look out and see them and look them in the eye right now and tell them I'm doing everything possible to grow and help the city of Clarksville. My son Jace is sitting there and he told me the other day, it means more to me than anything I've probably ever heard. Dad, what you do does not go unnoticed. And he'll tell you my response to him was, son, it's not me. It's a whole lot of people pulling the same direction for Clarksville. It will never, ever be about me. If our kids and our grandkids can look back and say that we did all we could to make our city successful, that's our legacy. Never going to be my legacy. Not mine or any other individual. And I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to close with this. I will always believe in us. Always. I am blessed to live in this community, and I know that, and I've always been blessed to live in this community. I've served at every opportunity that I've ever had in this community. I'm humbly asking you for your vote and your support where I can take that next step and we can move Clarksville forward together. I want us to build our future together. I don't want us to be floating a boat by ourselves out there in troubled waters. I'm afraid of where we're going. I'll leave you with this thought, okay? You need to ask this one question if you want to know what's going on. New bike trails, new ball fields, new playground. I'm not going to tell you that I'm against any of that. My question is, where is the money coming from to operate and maintain those? In the bond that was refinanced, there was zero money built into that. And I asked the question of why is that not in there? I've waited a year, and I still do not have an answer to that question. I'm concerned about the long-term financial health of our city. I love each of you. I'm humbly asking for your vote where we can move Clarksville forward together. Thank you.
Our next mayoral candidate is Bob Charlton. And if you would, Mr. Charlton, speak as close to the microphone as you can.
Real close?
Be real close.
Well, I've been told in church my voice carries. My name is Robert Charlton. I kid with people that my name is Charlton, like Charlton Heston, but I'm still alive. But ever since I was a little child, I was called Bob. I've lived in this community a vast majority of my life. I'm 67 years old. The only time I was out of this county was during the military and some construction jobs. I think this county, this town, has great potential. I know I can offer some service to this town. I believe in my heart, with my faith and everything, that I have what's necessary to be a good leader. And you know what makes a good leader? Let people do their job. Put a plan, put a vision, get people together and say, what can we do? What can we make happen? But then let people do their job. I've worked in a parts department since 1987 as parts manager. And if you want to run something in the ground, try to run it by yourself. Run it all the time. Have people hired and you keep telling them what to do all the time. Let them do it. Let them make mistakes. Then we grow because we learn from them and we move on. This town has a lot of resources, and I mean in people. Got a lot of immigrants here. And I think I can bring to bear a leadership that's subdued. Let's put it that way. My dad was 24 years military, started out in horse cavalry in El Paso. Tough old bird. Was on the beaches of Normandy before the troops got there as combat engineers, laying charges. I lived under that guy. But he did teach me one thing. There's a time to talk and a time to listen. We'll spend most of our time listening to folks before we talk. if we'll do it right. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, not the sharpest tack in the box, but I do know one thing. When you let people do their job, when you let people grow and prosper in their position, they will excel. I've been on the airport commission since the late 80s. We started out with 3,000 feet of runway and literally nothing out there. And 7 men with vision, nobody really seriously in charge. We have 5,000 feet of runway out there and a lot of amenities, and you give us a little bit more, and we will have a terminal that'd be the most proud thing Clarksville's ever saw. Because the designs we went through and the dedication we went to try to prove, to build a front door to Clarksville. And if you've been around there long enough, you've seen some really, really nice corporate planes land there. Because corporate America does not come in on a Greyhound bus, they come in on the jets. And when we start seeing them land there, we're starting to do our part. We're starting to do what it needs. Clarksville can do the same thing. And I ask you humbly, come November the 8th and starting with early voting, give me a chance to show you I can do that. I may not come out of the starts running, but I'm going to come out pushing the people around me to show me what talents they've got and let them do it. Humbly, I ask that for you. Bob Charlton for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charlton. Now
Okay, fire away.
We're going to move on to the questions.
Okay.
Question number 1. If elected, what would be your first 3 actions as mayor of Clarksville?
Let's open the front door to City Hall. Transparency. Videotaping of our meetings. Let's put a podium up in front of the desk where the city council people are, so whoever's talking, we can hear them. Let them come and present their ideas right there. And then that way there's a recording later on, so nobody can say, I didn't do that, or I did this, or I did that. I've got a brother that's been a city council at Gulfport for a lot of years. He was 15 years before he decided he didn't want no more. And he said, I never heard of any city council that didn't have a podium up there. And I said, well, we let everybody talk. He said, stop that. He said, this way you've got some kind of order to the thing. Transparency is going to be the biggest thing. Would you want to make a statement and know that somebody recorded it and then go back later and go, I didn't say that? Well, I'm sorry. That's got to stop. We want our people in Clarksville to be able to look in through the electronic front door and examine anything. Programs, meetings, go back 6, 10 years from now and look it over and review it again. And I think that'll change a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. And question number 2. What are the top 3 assets that Clarksville possesses that make it attractive to businesses and individuals looking to move to Clarksville? And how do you plan to use those assets?
Okay, the top 3 assets you can say that's concrete is rail, water, and interstate system. But the biggest value we've got right here is the people. We've got the most diversified immigrant type population you've ever seen here. Trust me, I have walked a bunch of miles around this whole place. This town's bigger than you think until you get out and walk it. You take that asset of everybody's ideas, not one person's idea, but everybody's idea, and get them together in a room and let's share these ideas. Let's put this together. Let's get this going. We have a good city council, but we need leadership that says, okay, we're ready to adopt anything someone's not adopt, but we're willing to listen to anything they want. Also, I was privy to a conversation with a gentleman that lives up in the Alma area. He's pretty influential, and he said that they're in the process of building a container offloading place in Van Buren. Now, if we got with the Corps of Engineers and figured out how to build our own little port to grab a few of them containers off, Tyson, Walmart would be, I'm sure, would be really interested in that. So they get containers right there, probably from the ports of New Orleans or Gulfport. And I thank you.
Thank you.
That's awful intimidating, you know that?
Okay, question number 3. What is the one thing that you would implement that would improve the quality of life for the citizens of Clarksville?
The simplest thing to me is we need to implement a good neighbor policy. You cannot believe the strange looks I got whenever I knew somebody new would move into my neighborhood, and I'd go down, hey, and they'd look at you like, what did I do? I use an example of the gentleman and his wife who'd moved into a rent house next to me, and he was from New Jersey. He liked to run for his life when I walked out there to introduce myself. But the biggest thing is, we are a fairly level Christian community, okay? And how many times I've been in church and say, hey, anybody know anybody we could help? Can we go take care of somebody? And then I hear about some house that's starting to run down a little bit. Well, we're going to go out there and we're going to put a tag on it and say, you need to clean this up. Well, instead of doing that tag on her, contact somebody in the police department and say, listen, you have a list of churches. Go out and tell them we got somebody you can help clean up their house or fix something or build something different, okay? And change their lifestyle by that volunteerism. And we're great volunteers. I've seen it time and time again. But we need to get out there and become that good neighbor and help our community instead of trying to run them off.
Thank you. Question number 4. What actions would you take as mayor to ensure the growth of economic development of Clarksville and strengthen the workforce in the area?
We have a good economic development group right now. And I think if someone would just take the reins off the horse and let him take his own lead, they know what's going on. The mayor's job is to encourage them and say, listen, we need all we can get. If it's a 50 job thing, let's do that. 25, can we expand some business in town? Can we do that? But they have the talent. I've listened to them. I've watched them. We've got a lot of group people, Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development. We've got a good gentleman who seems to be on the right track, but we're playing this game of, oh, you can't make anybody mad, you can't do it. I'm sorry, make them mad for a while. And then whenever they got more money in their pocket and their kids are staying, we've run our kids off. I've got grandkids that start thinking about, oh, we're going to go somewhere else and do something different. If we could just utilize the people and let them go with their things, let them get going. They have people to answer to, and that's the city council and us if there's anything that has to be answered to us. But let our economic development people who have the talents, have the connections, let them run and do their job. I've said before, let people do their job.
Thank you. Question number 5. As mayor, what steps will you take to assist small business owners with growing and expanding their businesses?
Okay. This one's close to me. A lot of business that are owned here in town are owned by people that live outside the city limits. They tell me time and time again, we just feel like we don't get any say-so. I think it's time we develop a commission of people who own businesses in town and say, give us your ideas. What do you think what we're doing is right? Is it good? Is it better? Could it be better? Is there something we can communicate to the city council to let them address and take it up on their next meetings and stuff? Maybe we don't know. Sometimes we get so busy playing the game that we don't realize we've done a bad play or we haven't run the play like it should be. but somebody out of the stands can come up and say, hey, listen, why didn't you run it that way? These business owners have been in it for a long time, and they've done as best they could. But maybe we need to look if there's anything we're hindering that growth in town, and assist those owners who do live in town to be part of that voice too. I mean, there's a lot that they tell me that they wish didn't go this way or go that way. But just include them. Let them be inclusive all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 6. Housing has become a common issue across many small communities in Arkansas. What are your plans to expand housing, in particular affordable housing, for the citizens of Clarksville?
First of all, you got to make developers and landowners interested in the idea of building more housing. This is an idea, and I don't want anybody to start throwing things at me if I say this, but Russellville is a lot bigger town than we are. But if we were to go and advertise in them, hey, come to our place. We'll be your bedroom community. We're 20 miles away. I don't care how bad gas is, that's still not that far away. Let us become the bedroom community. And guess what happens? If they live here, they spend here. If they move here, they go to our businesses, they go to our churches, they go to our facilities while we've got here. If you can get the business owners and the property owners to decide, hey, you know, this is a great opportunity for us to grow this town by building some more housing, and say, listen, let's try to make it more affordable. And it's tough in this inflationary time with building products and stuff like that, and I understand that. But we could find some alternatives. We might find some ways to bring in some money to help fund those housing projects and let these people live here, work there. That's just my idea.
Okay, thank you. And the final question, question 7. At the end of your term, if elected, what legacy would you want to leave for future leadership in Clarksville?
I would like to leave behind the legacy that the city government belongs to the people. If someone votes me into office, it's because they're my employer, I did the right interview, they believed in what I wanted to do or could help them out. And it's government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I want someone to see what I left behind as a benchmark for future leaders to step forward and say, listen, it's time to not be glory hunters. It's not time for I did this and I did that and I did this. People don't realize it's not an I did anything. It's a group of people who put their arms to the wheel, roll their sleeves up. I know what I'm trying to say, and it's just not coming out real good. It's time we work hard as a group and start pushing for that. And I want the guy who comes and takes over from me, if I'm lucky I got elected, that he says, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make this city proud of their government. I want the city to be proud of who they elected. I want the city to be proud that when they look in the electronic door of Clarksville, they saw exactly what they should have saw. And I thank you, folks, and I appreciate your attention.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate is current Mayor David Reeder. And if you would, speak as close to the mic as you can.
Yeah, okay. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Better? We'll try. Well, good evening. So just begin?
Yes, sir.
So good evening, everyone. For those that don't know, you that don't know me, my name is David Reeder, and I'm honored to be here tonight. There's just a few things. My wife, Stephanie, and I, and our 2 daughters, Emmeline and Kinley, decided in 2019 that we didn't really see the town growing the way we did back in 2007. And so she allowed me to run for mayor, and we won. And I since that day, I'm really proud of what our staff has done and where our city is going. We went from essentially $3.7 million a year revenue to almost $6. We're on track to hit $6 this year. We've created nearly 300 new jobs. We've got even more I can't even talk about. So it's easy to attack someone. It's easy to throw stones at things that aren't done, because when you're managing 42 linear miles of roadways that have ditches on both sides, culverts on both sides, sidewalks on both sides, there's always something that needs to be done, always. So what's important is that we stay aggressive and we stay chasing it. And we've done that. Our staff has done every bit of that every day. We hold them accountable to that. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful of the staff that we have, from our chief of police to our fire chief. They're doing fantastic work. Our city inspector, our city engineer. When this election comes around, you need to be thinking about those positions. It ain't just the mayor you're voting on. It's the people that we put in those positions and the job they do every day. Okay, it's not just about one person. It really isn't. If you look around this city and where we come in 4 years, I think you can see it. You can see the change. There was a good old boy system back in 2019. Yes, we stepped on toes. Yes, we're still stepping on toes, but it's for the people. We were forcing our way through a system that had been in place for years before, and I'm proud of them. I'm proud of them for having the courage. I'm really thankful for my family for having my back, and my staff that has my back on a daily basis in spite of the constant attack that we've been under. And I think you've all seen a good taste of that here recently, thanks to social media and probably some will happen tonight, I'm sure. But I'll not hang my head in shame for anything we've done, or I've done, or my staff. That's all. So I'm really honored to be here this evening. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to the questions section. All the candidates have had the same questions, and you'll have 2 minutes per question. So question 1, if elected, what would be your first 3 actions as mayor of Clarksville?
Well, it's kind of hard as an incumbent to answer that, but you know, we've got several projects. I've done a pretty good job of putting those projects out on Facebook. We need to finish those projects. Plus, we've got several more: Project Olson, Project Ether, Project Reardon, Project Foghorn. Those projects are not even made public yet. That's in north of $2 billion investment, close to 1,000 jobs. We've not seen growth like that since 1980. That's amazing. That's what's at stake here. It's not time for politics. Look past the politics and see what the city's doing. It's amazing. So we also, in the last few studies, we understood that we need to do a better job of coalition building with the community leaders, with our economic strategy, and that we also, from going door to door, I can tell you that this city needs a comprehensive drainage review, from Lakeview Estates to White Drive to Brown Street to all over the city. We are so behind on drainage, and this last dose of rain we got, we need to spend some money on that and get it caught up. Thompson Drive. So that's going to be something we commit to going forward.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2 is, what are the top 3 assets that Clarksville possesses that make it attractive to business and individuals looking to move to Clarksville, and how do you plan to use those assets?
Well, it's easy. We do that on a daily basis. Number 1 is our people. Number 2 is our infrastructure. And number 3 is our natural resources. We use that every day. Stephen Hauserman and help with the chamber. Whenever he's having a meeting with economic development projects, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about our people, our workforce, our natural environment, our interstate, railroad, river, airport. The airport's growing. I don't know if anybody saw, we had some jets land in last week. First time a jet that big was able to land here. They were looking at property to buy here to build their company here. So that infrastructure is massively important. And then on the natural resources part of that, our rivers, lakes, and streams, we have to protect those, but we also have to enhance those. We have to use those because that's quality of life things that these CEOs are recognizing us for. They're hearing about bike trails in magazines. reading about bike trails in magazines in Clarksville that was funded by the taxpayers. No outside money did that. Voters of Clarksville did that. And they were ecstatic about that. I've had calls from Connecticut, you know, about just a simple set of bike trails, an inclusive playground, Division 21. Voters passed that. That's an incredible thing for our community. So it all ties together. Those three things I think are where it's at.
Thank you. Question number 3. What is the one thing that you would implement that would improve the quality of life for the citizens of Clarksville?
Well, I wouldn't narrow it down just to one thing. I would say 3 things. Affordable housing. After knocking on almost 1,500 doors, I can promise you we need affordable housing in this community. Transportation for our seniors and for our college students that are captive on the university campus. And then number 3 is going to be child care. We need to enhance child care, particularly with an emphasis for second and third shift workers. There's so many people that can't enjoy life because they're home with their kids. And so we need to open up opportunities for them too. So, and we've looked at some programs to help grant, like for in-home child cares, things like that. So there's a way forward. We just have to be willing to commit to it.
Thank you. Question 4. What actions would you take as mayor to ensure the growth of economic development of Clarksville and strengthen the workforce in the area?
So that we've learned since and I'm going to go back and say this, that 2009, Shane Boyette and the Boyette Group gave us a roadmap for economic development. We still use that to this day, for the most part. It was valid then. We're still living by it now. We just charted a new economic development study, and we're merging the two together. So there's some things that are kind of consistent throughout those 2 studies that give us direction on what to do. You just mentioned it, quality of life. Okay, so people want that quality of life, those access to the natural resources, those things to do after work. They want that. Entertainment, arts, they want that. So good roads, good fiber optic, all those things are important. It all, as far as your quality of life. Then I would say workforce development is key, using our schools and the university here to create a pipeline of new workforce, because the new jobs that are coming in that we're working on is a different type of workforce. So we're going to really need the schools to help create that pipeline. And then I would say building those coalitions that I mentioned earlier, and then continuing to invest in infrastructure. So, but under the workforce development, I just want to highlight the 2 things that constantly, as I knocked on doors, childcare is huge. It's keeping a lot of people, single parents, from the workforce. And then a second chance program. You know, you've got several things coming up that we need to address. So you've got a lot of employees that would be in the workforce, but they have nonviolent felonies on their record that they can't get a job because. So if we get a program, and I think Joseph at the county is already doing it, we just need to enhance that, open that back up so they have a greater chance and kind of get out of that vicious cycle and then let them get back into the workforce.
Thank you. Question number 5. As mayor, what steps will you take to assist small business owners with growing and expanding their businesses?
Well, there's a few things. I've thought a lot. We've been doing that for a while. So transitional economy, right? You could have a situation where a business owner has 25 or 30,000 people pass their door on an annual basis, or you can have a business that gets 80 or 100,000 people passing this door every day. Vision 21 had 2 purposes. One was creating opportunities for our kids. Number 2 was bringing that extra 30, 40,000 people to our town that pass by those businesses so that they have the opportunity to market to them and to grow their business. That was a double-edged sword there. And then more recently, we learned that marketing, there's a lot of folks that shop outside of Clarksville and Johnson County. We need to spend some money on some type of research to figure out what products they are shopping for outside of our area, bring that list of products back to the small businesses here in Clarksville so that they can tailor their business to that and maybe capture that need, capture that base, that business that they're missing. And that was identified in our last strategic study. So that's a big piece for us. And then our codes and our regulation. We've done a pretty good job of fixing the codes where they're more in line with today's business startup, but we need to tighten them, fix them a little better. It's a fine balance between life-saving codes versus beautification codes. We have to balance that out, and then we need to do a better job educating the business owners about it. And then grants. The chamber and the city recently went into a grant program for facades downtown. If that works this year, we'll look at expanding that across the city. So that would help small businesses start up. So
Thank you very much. Housing has become a common issue across many small communities in Arkansas. What are your plans to expand housing, in particular affordable housing, for the citizens of Clarksville?
that is definitely not an easy answer because the city does not have a direct impact on that decision. So what we can do is incentivize it. There are, maybe 3-4 options you could do. One of the options is expediting permit applications, which we have the online system now, but then waiving the permit fees for large-scale developments or housing developments. Creating what's called density corridors, where you can build up instead of out. You can get more residential offices on the same square footage. And then maybe even looking at rebating or deferring taxes on those developments, partially or permanently, depending on the size of the project, the size and scope of the project. So those 3 things would help incentivize. And then beyond that, we've talked about looking at changing our codes to where if you're building housing addition, now you have to do the streets, the curb, the gutter, and the sidewalk. One thing is let the city have an easement instead of putting that cost to the builder and the buyer. Keep the easement for the city and let us use street improvement funds to come back and build that sidewalk later. Or maybe some kind of grant program where we help with the egress and regress of each housing addition, because when you factor in those costs, it drives the price of a lot from, say, $20,000 to $40,000, $50,000. It makes it unaffordable. So maybe we can put some effort in there to help that out.
Thank you. And then our final question for the evening. At the end of your term, if elected, what legacy would you want to leave for future leadership in Clarksville?
I don't want a legacy. It's not about me. Never has been. I look back, and when there's a day when Emma and Kinley can come back home and get a job here, I'll be happy. And I'm telling you right now, I don't care how many toes I step on, until that's a reality, I'm going to keep stepping on them because I know it's the right thing to do for this community. So I don't want a legacy. I don't even want to be remembered when this is over with. I just want you to look around and see the city is doing good, that we're growing, there's opportunities, and we're safe. That's all I want. And then whoever comes next, they can build from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, that concludes the evening. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight and participating in the political forum. We hope that you're much more educated on your voting choices for this election season. Thanks again for coming out, and we'll see you soon.